Talked a lot about Romelu Lukaku. Suddenly Messi came into the equation and moved. Last week there was that potentially big news about Robert Lewandowski being open to a move. And now Cristiano Ronaldo, all the big names.
Let's summer of strikers, because we know when you have a forward line or you have an individual striker that can get you 20 plus, 30 plus goals within a season, that's how you win competitions. Manchester City won't be silly. They'll know that they'll have their eyes on the bigger European competitions and domestic trophies, and they'll have to always strengthen, because it's different when you're chasing to when you're being hunted. And they will full well know that they will see the moves that Chelsea would have made. And you talk about it, Tom, the saga of these strikers that's continuing, the Kane U-turn, the Messi saga that we've talked about. Haaland, of course, is still being dangled in front of us all. Mbappe, the list goes on. But what you're realising with every single one of these names, these are recognised worldwide strikers. And then you add Cristiano Ronaldo to this fold now. And it's not just you're talking about one of the greatest strikers of a generation. You're talking about arguably the greatest goal scorer that's ever played football. Whether he's 36 or he's not 36, Manchester City will be very clear as to after the departure of Sergio Aguero. Even though Gabriel Jesus has been fantastic, Fernan Torres has been brilliant. We've seen him in that striker role as well. And Liam Delap, of course, has signed that new long-term deal with the club. They'll want a definitive number 9 who can go out and get 30 plus goals and they can trust in every competition.
It's quite interesting actually what you say there, because Dave Cox says he might have played for Manchester United, he might be 36, he'll still smash in 20 goals a season, please go and get him. Paul Marshall is a Manchester United fan. He says City will end up with Lewandowski because Ronaldo will not disappoint. Sir Alex Ferguson brackets, I hope, and Ronaldo belongs to the red of Manchester. And Thomas Guthrie says, I think if Manchester City do sign Ronaldo, they will walk away with the league this season. And it's interesting these tweets coming in, Mark. It's very difficult to ignore the fact, well, we can't ignore the fact, he's linked with Manchester City, but he played for Manchester United.
This is what makes it so exciting. This is what makes it a great talking point. And, you know, will he, won't he? You know, I think if Sir Alex Ferguson was still at Manchester United as manager, there'd be no question he wouldn't be going to Manchester City. But Sir Alex retired a long time ago, and whilst he calls Ronnie his boy, you know, that's history now. And as we've seen from Cristiano Ronaldo's career, he wants to create his own form of history every single time he walks onto the pitch. You know, he's obsessed with numbers. He's obsessed with records. He wants to be the best, and he wants to continually break those records. And as he's got older, that's become even more of a mission for himself, to be that kind of iconic player. And it got me thinking about those players, not just that have gone from Man City to Manchester United, but when you look at Cristiano Ronaldo, you are looking at one of the world's greatest. You know, remember when Figo went from Barca to Madrid? Ronaldo, the original Ronaldo, has obviously done the Madrid and Barcelona thing, and into AC Milan. And Zlatan was another one, into Milan and AC Milan as well. And Lee Clark, Newcastle, Sunderland.
Hey, there's a few of them who've done that.
That was genuinely just to put a smile on your face.
Yeah, he actually did really well for us. Just ended in bad terms. Callback's the one that still hurts, actually. Right, we've got Jeanette, who says, why haven't the Glazers gone in for Ronaldo, bring him back to the red side? Luke Cohen says, what a move it would be for Manchester City to get Ronaldo, brings so much to every squad that he's in. And Ashley Bevan says, you can't be serious you think Ronaldo is going to sign for Manchester City. Well, JD, Mark was talking about a few players who've played for both rivals. OK. What about players who've played for both Manchester United and Manchester City?
I just want to allude to what Mark was just talking about. And Ashley, this is not a direct tweet to you, but since you just said you wanted to bring it up on the timeline, we have to address you directly. If you don't think that the personal legacy that Cristiano Ronaldo has created for himself in terms of his whole career, from Sporting Lisbon to Real Madrid to Manchester United, is not about his personal achievements. You can see by the way he plays that he's driven by personal achievements. He's been very vocal about that in terms of the rivalry he had with Lionel Messi throughout his time. His legacy on football is bigger than any personal affiliation he'll have with any of those clubs, maybe apart from Sporting Lisbon, where he actually started his career. So if you don't think that he would address or at least look at a move at Manchester City, you're not really looking at the man that has dominated world football for the better part of over a decade. But as you said, Tom, there have been some legends and some good players that have played for both Manchester United and Manchester City. And as you look at it, if we actually go across, it's actually been going on for the better part of 50 plus years. You've got Dennis Law on there, of course, in '62. He broke the British transfer record, 115,000 back then. And we know that he spent 11 years at United and had incredible spells. But on both sides of that, he played, of course, for City, Brian Kidd scored an incredible amount of goals for both clubs. And of course, he's been coaching staff for both clubs as well. The man in the middle there, Peter Schmeichel, we already know that his legacy as one of the greatest goalkeepers of a generation was created at Man United, but people also remember that he did play for Manchester City too. Carlos Tevez has won a Premier League title with both clubs. And the interesting factor there, and I really want to shout out the graphics team because he only had one appearance for Manchester City, but Owen Hargreaves did play for Manchester City and also showed that YouTube footballers can obviously be a big factor in the world of the game in today. So when you think about legacies and you think about people that have made that massive transition across Manchester, there are some important footballers in history, in British history, that have definitely done it. And I don't see why Ronaldo couldn't be another one. Yeah,
James Howard says if Ronaldo goes to City, he goes from being a legend at Old Trafford to just another player who played for us. I think that Manchester City, even being linked with the best player to have ever played the game, is embarrassing. And Jack Woodruff says, why are United not thinking of signing Ronaldo? And Anton's over on the sofa. And Anton, he did fairly well in red, didn't he?
Yeah, he certainly did. I'm absolutely loving the reaction we're getting from Manchester City and Manchester United fans. Keep on getting in touch. Hashtag transfer talk. Because, look, as we've been saying, let's be honest, Cristiano Ronaldo is a United legend. So let's take a little bit of a look at his overall record at Manchester United. There you go, 292 games, 118 goals. Crucially, it's the bottom one, isn't it? 9 trophies, including 3 Premier Leagues and, of course, the Champions League. Now, I was a little bit surprised by their stats. Thought the goals-to-game ratio may be a bit higher, but look, bear in mind, Ronaldo moved to United when he was just 18 years old. So most of those goals came in his last 3 seasons at the club, including 31 in the Premier League alone in the 07-08 season. Since then, as we know, Ronaldo's goal-scoring record has just got better and better. Look at this since the age of turning 33. And believe me, many of us peak after the age of 33. 125 goals in 151 games, and not far off 20 assists in that time as well. He's averaged 30 league goals a season over the last 2 years alone at Juventus. That's why, even at the age of 36, Ronaldo is still being talked about as one of the best forwards in the world. And that is why, despite being a Manchester United great, the links to City may have traction.
Incredible stats then, incredible reaction to you on hashtag transfer talk as well. Thank you for all your tweets. Mikey B just says, Ronnie to City, not happening. Someone here says if Manchester City if Ronaldo signs for Manchester City, they'll win the Champions League and the league. If they do that, he's the striker that they are missing. And Aidan Hughes says, Tevez to Manchester City. He's kind of going through what you've gone through, JD. Schmeichel came to City. Ronaldo wants to continue to win trophies. Tevez came to City. Why wouldn't he play for a team challenging in all competitions and dominated domestic football for years? Well, like they did when he was at Manchester United as well. But JD, it's quite difficult also not to mention his age, 36. Is that a problem?
Have you seen Cristiano Ronaldo? I mean, at 36 years old, I pray that I look and then kept myself in the same shape as him, because as much as we say 36 and you're born in 85, really and truly, let's be honest, he's probably built like a 28-year-old by the way he's looked after his body. We've seen from the numerous players that have played with him how he lives in the gym. He looks after his body, not just on the field, but off of the field in terms of the recovery, the way that he conditions himself. So I know it's 36 on paper, but there are some athletes that you have to turn around and say define phenomics. I turn around and say LeBron James in basketball, even though he's 36 years old, he's not 36 years old in terms of the way that he's built. And Cristiano Ronaldo has definitely looked after his body throughout his whole career so that he can play at the highest level, as you're continuing to see consistently year after year. He's not built like your typical 36-year-old. So I'm going to turn around and say he's really 28 at heart.
OK. And Mark, the other thing people are talking about is, does it make sense financially for Manchester City?
Absolutely. I think when you look at Manchester City, we know they have the financial muscle to sign any player they want. They want to be operating at the higher echelons of European football. They want to sign the big names. And whilst they've had huge amounts of success over the course of the last 10 seasons or so, there was an incredible project that was started at Manchester City with the stadium, with the training facilities, with winning titles, with challenging, with bringing Pep Guardiola to the team. Have they ever had a player that perhaps has had this kind of iconic world status? What would Cristiano Ronaldo do for the brand of Manchester City? Would you suddenly walk into a sports shop in Portugal and see Manchester City shirts on sale? Would you see it right now? Possibly, possibly not. Would you see it if Manchester City signed Cristiano Ronaldo? Absolutely.
Around the world.
And I think that's the kind of impact that he will have, not just on the field as a player, because we've seen his numbers. Anton's talked about his statistics. We know how good and fit he is. But what would he bring as a global icon to Manchester City to take them to that next level? I think that's a key player in all of this as well. And you just get the feeling that, you know, how great would it be for Pep Guardiola? He spent years working with Messi, who was arguably the best player of all time, and now he's got the opportunity to work potentially with Cristiano Ronaldo. And then honestly, he would be the only person in the world that could answer the question, who's the best, Messi or Ronaldo?
Yeah.
Because he's worked with both of them.
Ooh.
If the deal was to happen.
Mark, the timelines are already very yeah. Please don't steer us down that direction already. It's only 9:15,
Yeah.
please.
I've got time for 3 more tweets. Thank you so much for all of these tweets. Can't read them all out, but Shook says Manchester City should go for Cristiano Ronaldo, bring him back home. Fees and wages will pay for themselves in merchandise money that he'll bring to the club. We need a proven goal scorer. He's the one. Still 2 or 3 years left in him. Cam Birkenhead. What happens when Manchester City want Haaland next year on his release clause if they offer Ronaldo a 2-year deal now? And there's someone else here, a Manchester City fan, who says at 36, Ronaldo is peak of physical fitness in football statistics, even now, are stupendous, as we've just been showing you there as well. More on this to come later on and in Transfer Talk at midday. But